Sometimes success does not come from the sheer force of willpower, but from the quiet, consistent wisdom of knowing exactly where to place energy. In a world obsessed with grinding harder and pushing through at all costs, those who win long-term are the ones who learn to work with their nature instead of against it. Imagine having a drive that does not burn out, a rhythm of progress that feels effortless and inevitable. That is the art of replacing willpower with wisdom. This is where the real game begins, and the rules will change everything you thought you knew about motivation. If this message resonates, stick around. Tap that subscribe button, not as a routine click, but as a personal decision to fill your feed with ideas that challenge your limits and fuel your rise. Hit the like button to push this energy further. Leave a comment about the last time wisdom saved you more than force, and share this video with someone who is ready to play the long game of success. The movement grows because you decide to be part of it. Sometimes success does not come from the sheer force of willpower, but from the quiet, consistent wisdom of knowing exactly where to place energy. In a world obsessed with grinding harder and pushing through at all costs, those who win long-term are the ones who learn to work with their nature instead of against it. Imagine having a drive that does not burn out, a rhythm of progress that feels effortless and inevitable. That is the art of replacing willpower with wisdom. This is where the real game begins, and the rules will change everything you thought you knew about motivation. If this message resonates, stick around. Tap that subscribe button, not as a routine click, but as a personal decision to fill your feed with ideas that challenge your limits and fuel your rise. Hit the like button to push this energy further. Leave a comment about the last time wisdom saved you more than force, and share this video with someone who is ready to play the long game of success. The movement grows because you decide to be part of it. The first thing most people misunderstand about motivation is that it is not a constant fuel source. Willpower is like a battery that drains quickly when it is the only thing powering action. Wisdom is more like a power grid, connected to multiple sources of energy that replenish themselves. This is why some people seem tireless while others collapse under the weight of their goals. It is not always that the tireless ones have more discipline. They simply have built a system that requires less brute force to keep moving forward. Willpower alone can push someone through a difficult day, but wisdom can shape a life where those difficult days are rare. When people rely only on willpower, they are fighting their natural instincts every moment. Every decision feels like a battle, and eventually, the mind starts looking for ways to escape. This is why crash diets fail, why people abandon their business dreams after a burst of effort, and why so many New Year's resolutions die before February. The strategy was built on a finite resource. Wisdom takes a different path. It looks at the environment, the habits, the cues, and the mindset that shape behavior, and it adjusts them so that success is the default, not the uphill fight. When someone wakes up and decides to run every morning, willpower can get them out of bed for a week. But wisdom asks why they want to run, what will make it enjoyable, and how to weave it into a routine that feels natural. Wisdom might suggest placing the running shoes right by the bed, finding a running partner who makes the process fun, or choosing routes that feel rewarding. This reduces the need to fight the inner resistance because the path is smoother from the start. Another key difference is that wisdom builds momentum while willpower burns it. Think of willpower as lighting a match. The flame is intense for a moment, but it fades unless there is a steady source of fuel. Wisdom is like a slow-burning fire that warms for hours because it is fed carefully. This is why someone who works smart and consistently often surpasses someone who works furiously but inconsistently. The sustainable path outpaces the frantic sprint. Every time it is tempting to romanticize willpower because it feels heroic. People love stories of the all-nighter, the person who pushed through exhaustion, the athlete who trained through pain. But these stories are snapshots, not sustainable strategies. No one can sprint forever. Wisdom recognizes the difference between a powerful moment and a lasting method. A person who understands this will design their habits and environment to carry them even on days when motivation is low. This is not about being weak. It is about being strategic. Replacing willpower with wisdom starts with It means paying attention to energy levels, emotional triggers, and personal patterns. If someone notices they are most creative in the morning, wisdom tells them to schedule their hardest work early. If they see they lose focus after lunch, wisdom suggests taking a walk or shifting to simpler tasks during that time. This approach does not rely on forcing the mind to perform when it is naturally resistant. Instead, it works in harmony with personal rhythms. One of the most effective wisdom-based strategies is to remove friction. If a goal is to eat healthier, willpower says, resist the cookies in the pantry. Wisdom says, do not keep cookies in the pantry in the first place. If a goal is to write every day, willpower says, push through distractions. Wisdom says, set up a workspace where distractions are impossible. The more obstacles removed, the less energy is wasted in resisting temptation. This frees that energy for progress. There is also the role of identity in sustaining motivation. Willpower focuses on actions. Wisdom focuses on becoming the type of person for whom those actions are natural. Someone using willpower says, I have to go to the gym today. Someone using wisdom says, I am the kind of person who moves their body daily. That subtle shift changes everything because actions flow naturally from identity. When someone sees themselves differently, they behave differently without the constant push of force. The long-term impact of wisdom is freedom. Willpower feels like chains because it demands constant self-control. Wisdom feels like wings because it removes the need for control in the first place. The disciplined life, when built on wisdom, does not feel disciplined. It feels like living in alignment with self. If willpower is the emergency engine, wisdom is the autopilot. The emergency engine has its place. There will always be moments where you must dig deep, summon courage, and push past comfort. But to live your life in emergency mode is to burn out the machine before its time. Autopilot, on the other hand, does not mean laziness. It means designing your life so that the right actions happen without constant struggle. One of the secrets to this design is creating triggers that automatically spark productive behavior. For example, instead of relying on willpower to remember to meditate, link meditation to something you already do daily, such as brushing your teeth. The moment you put down your toothbrush, you sit down to meditate. Over time, the link becomes automatic. This is habit stacking. A wisdom-driven approach that slowly turns discipline into instinct. Another layer of wisdom is understanding energy cycles. Every person has natural peaks and valleys in focus, creativity, and physical stamina. Those who operate with wisdom schedule their most demanding tasks during their peak hours. This might mean doing deep work at dawn before the noise of the world intrudes, or saving creative work for the evening when the mind feels freer. The point is not to copy someone else's schedule, but to honor your own. Willpower ignores this reality and insists on grinding at all hours. Wisdom works with it and thrives. It is also wise to build systems that make failure difficult. This does not mean perfection. It means arranging your environment, relationships, and tools in such a way that drifting off course requires more effort than staying on track. If your goal is to save money, set up automatic transfers to a savings account before you even see the cash. If your goal is to eat better, prep healthy meals ahead of time so the easiest choice is the right one. This flips the usual script. Willpower asks you to resist bad choices. Wisdom makes the good choice. The default. Another sustainable hack is investing in environments and communities that reflect your desired identity. Human behavior is contagious. If you spend time with people who live in alignment with the habits you want, their energy becomes your environment. Willpower can push you through a few lonely nights working on your goals. Wisdom places you in a circle where working on your goals is simply what everyone does. Over time, the need for force disappears because the norm carries you forward. Real breakthrough comes when you stop chasing bursts of motivation and start cultivating conditions where motivation is unnecessary. This is not to say passion does not matter. It does, but wisdom understands that passion fluctuates. Systems sustain. It is far easier to keep going when the path is paved than when every step is a battle through mud. The wise architect of their life removes the mud before the journey begins. Think about the energy wasted in resisting temptation, in forcing yourself to start, in arguing with your own mind about what must be done. Now imagine redirecting all that energy into actually doing the work, into creating, building, refining. That is the gift of wisdom. It eliminates the drag so your momentum is always forward. There is a quiet power in making small, strategic changes that ripple into massive results. Waking up just 20 minutes earlier to review your priorities. Organizing your workspace so that the tools you need are always within reach. Planning your week in advance so daily decisions require no extra thought. Each of these acts may seem small, but together, they free you from relying on an exhaustible source of willpower. They create a current that carries you without constant rowing. Another overlooked part of wisdom is knowing when to rest. Willpower glorifies constant motion. Wisdom knows that stillness is part of the process. Just as muscles grow stronger during recovery, mental endurance deepens in periods of rest. This means stepping away without guilt. Understanding that sustainable motivation is not about squeezing every second for productivity, but about balancing effort and renewal. Without this balance, even the strongest drive will collapse over time. Living by wisdom transforms effort into something almost invisible. People may look at you and wonder how you seem so disciplined, so consistent, so driven. The truth is, you rarely feel that way. You have simply built a life that supports the person you want to be. The systems, habits, and environments you have crafted hold you up without requiring constant self-battle. You have replaced the shaky ladder of willpower with the solid foundation of wisdom. This shift does not happen overnight. At first, you will still rely on bursts of willpower to install wisdom's systems. But as those systems take root, you will notice something remarkable. The things that once felt like a struggle will feel normal. The actions that once required mental negotiations will happen automatically. This is when you will know you have made the switch from living by willpower to living by wisdom, when the day comes that you can progress toward your goals without draining yourself. When setbacks feel like speed bumps instead of brick walls. When discipline feels like freedom instead of sacrifice, that is the day you will understand that wisdom was the sustainable motivation hack you needed all along. So start today, not with a heroic burst of effort, but with one wise decision that will make the next step easier. Remove one friction, create one trigger, shape one environment. Stack these choices until they carry you further than willpower ever could. The race is not to the fastest starter, but to the one who never stops moving forward. And wisdom is the only fuel that never runs dry.